flying was done really well as well, especially if you're looking at Super Mario 3 and then going towards how they did it within in Nintendo 64, giving you so much freedom in a 3D world and stuff. If you get towards the first stage and you have to run up all the mountain and defeat the bomb, there was so much in there. There was so much coming back to, and you knew it's a different kind of game, but it had so much in there. I think that was it a revolution? I think it was a revolution on how we see games. If you go from a 2D to a 3D perspective, and it set the bar right away, right at the gate.
Welcome to the Pixel and Meeple podcast, where we talk about games, board games, card games, and video games. Some oldies and some new ones. But we're going to do something different today. We're going to try and set up a new format. So we're not going to talk only about oldies, but are going to talk about some actual game news and also some new games. What we're going to do, and welcome Robin, by the way, my co-host.
Thank you.
What we're going to do is we're going to start off with some game news, and then we're going to step into the decades one by one. So start off with the 20s, then the 10s, the 0s, the 90s, and lastly the 80s. And to round it all up, we're going to do a save, retry, game over, and add 2 new things to it. I will not spoil it, so stick around, but we're going to rank all the games that we have been talking about. But let's just lead it off with the game news, a new segment, right?
Yeah, but I want to throw you off your game a little bit, because I wanted to ask you first, what have you been playing last week?
I have been playing the game behind me. I actually...
Did you get a new game and you didn't tell me?
A few episodes ago, I was talking about Ra and the Kickstarter, and that I backed it, and that I was longing and waiting for it. It took quite a long time, but it's there. And I'm actually very happy about it, because it even exceeded my expectations. It's extremely luxurious, packed in terms of components. I got the upgrade version, by the way. But secondly, what I was hoping for is that it was a family weight game, and all my kids loved it, and my wife loved it as well. So, yeah, happy.
Which I do find fun, because this wasn't rehearsed, because I also got one of games I backed on Kickstarter as well this week. So I didn't even know you got this one.
Yeah.
So I arrived a big package.
A huge package.
Huge package. Yeah. I got Eve War of Eden came in this week after quite a long time. Due to tariffs and stuff like that, it took quite a while to come in. And I backed it with, I think, more than I should, but I basically have everything. And
you didn't get the all-in pledge, right?
No, there was one more ridiculous version. So I got the not so ridiculous version. So yeah, there is another version that's a box where that box is huge. If you see this probably online, that is huge. But that has, I think they have bigger miniatures. So the game is itself, but the miniatures are way bigger. So you basically have these kind of miniatures and stuff like that, which is cool. But to be honest, I also wanted to feel like a game. So I didn't do that, because that was really ridiculously pricey, about €750 or something like that in that range.
For one game.
For one game. I have to say, it's not only one game. It has 2 expansions in there. I've got a structure pack in there. I've got some extra resources, making resources nicer and stuff like that. So things I really like in a board game, when the board game really starts to come into life because of these things and miniatures. So yeah, yes, please.
I'm assuming that we're going to talk about it in a different episode. Just a few highlights. So what were your first, like, when you open up the box, what was your, what were the highlights?
I think that one thing I always like is how if you have a sheet where it says how it goes back into the box.
Yeah. Let's just state here in this podcast, every publisher should be doing this from now on.
There should be a rule on how to actually package your damn box back in, because you're always like, how does this back in, right? Like it's always annoying. So they did that really good. Quality is really nice. The thing is that it is based on EVE Online, but for me, how I see it and how far I got it, I did a test playthrough. EVE Online is, if you don't know, a big MMO where you play a space cowboy and you do all kind of things. It's based on that. All the things are based on it, but it's not EVE Online. So it has some things in there that you recognize as EVE Online spelen. But if you're looking board ways, game wise, it has a little bit of TI in it. It has a little bit of Ellipse Second Dawn in it. There is also components more a little bit more card based. So it's all pieces and games that I like, and it isn't exactly EVE Online. It just feels like EVE Online. So there's a lot of things there that's familiar, but it is not EVE Online, which I really like. So for me, it's best of both worlds, and that's one of the reasons I bought it, because I really like the way they went with it. So yeah.
Nice. Cool. So
Sorry
how
for
to?
crashing your intro.
Well, I think it's a good one, right? I mean, there are two lovely games that we bring to the table in this. But let's start off with the game news. So, what we're going to do in this segment, I'm going to focus on board game news as Mr. Meeple, and you're going to focus on a few highlights and game news with regards to video games. So, you may start, Robin.
So the first one I have to start with, because I actually found it quite funny. I didn't find it funny at the time because I was pissed. But that is the release of Hollow Knight Silksong. So if you didn't follow the news, Hollow Knight Silksong was released beginning of September, the 4th of September. And it basically crashed not one, but it crashed basically all the stores. The thing is that if you crash one, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's nice. But it basically crashed them all. So the PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo eShop, basically global outage. You couldn't really get the game at the moment. They were
Never
just,
happened, right? Before.
I don't know what needs to be done to actually do that. There were so many simultaneously requests for buying the
Wow.
game. And the thing is that on how the game was set up, you couldn't really pre-install or pre-buy it or something like that. And I
Mm,
don't understand why, but um, so what I was looking at, I was like, basically I couldn't get into the Steam store and to basically finish the purchase. So it was in my cart, I couldn't finish the purchase. So this has nothing to do with the developers. It's not their problem that it's one of the most hyped games there. I think that says something for the developer. But crashing not one, but crashing all the stores, I think that's some kind of a record that maybe also is rethinked on how they're going to do the store with a normal queuing system or something like that. But then you see how less effort all these shops do in making them like a queuing system or whatever. It's such a simple system they put in. They don't put any money into it. It's just pay and go.
yeah.
And for this one, it wasn't sufficient to just crash the whole system.
It's ridiculous. I mean, how much amount of money
They make, yeah.
they make and how much revenue goes through those stores is amazing.
But the thing is that it wasn't something that you couldn't expect, right? This game was hyped. You could really prepare for that, right? So
Mm,
they didn't have long. I also have to say that didn't have long because how Team Cherry went about it. So it's like, oh, our game comes out in 2 weeks, and everybody like, well, what? But yeah, I found that quite funny. It was not funny at the time, but it's also, I think that if you're looking at what Team Cherry did, they achieved something in a negative way, which in actually is really good for them as well. They actually did really well.
nice, nice. Yeah,
So
even I heard about it, about and so any type of news, that you can generate from it. This one is, I won't say bad market, bad reputation because it's bad reputation for the stores, right? But it's an example of how big of an hype it is. And then, the FOMO comes along and then everyone wants to get the game, right? So I brought something. It's not a board game, but it is tabletop. So and it's
close
actually
enough.
yeah, and it's actually sort of like a crossover because Diablo is gonna bring out a tabletop RPG,
Okay.
which I found very interesting because I was imagining it like, okay, it's cool, right? It's darker than your typical, yeah, tabletop RPG, and there are darker ones, but Diablo is really dark. But I was also thinking, like, normally you have a lot of variety in terms of class, race, but with Diablo, it's just a class that you can pick. So I think in terms of variety, it feels kind of limited as far as I could have seen so far. And the second thing is that is cool. They normally, with any tabletop RPG, you start off with a level one and you have to build up, and the first levels aren't that cool because you
Mhm.
don't have the gear and all that stuff. But they have pre-built characters, or at least strong characters that you can start off with, which is cool. So, and it's of course a very interesting lore and a world to explore in. So yeah, I found it at least interesting to.
Okay. I have another one, and that's also a game I thought of buying. I didn't in the end because just where do I get the time? So much hours in a day. But what was the Borderlands
Mm,
4 release? And the funny thing what about that is that Borderlands 4 was also quite popular overall, and this is the fourth series. But like another game I liked, Monster Hunter Wilds, it came with some performance issues.
mm.
So then, as a company, you have two choices. Or you say, sorry, we're going to fix it. Or you be the CEO and just go ham on your consumers because
Problem not in computer, problem in chair.
basically it's not that. So there were some statements where he basically, how I feel about it, and that is my feeling, he basically confronted the user base and the people that bought the game instead of saying, yeah, we have a problem, we're fixing it. And to be honest, I found that not the way I would have approached it. I wouldn't even have commented the CEO. I would just have my professional communication department make statements about the game and trying to help the community overcome fixed or performance issues. But I found that quite funny when you go on. The thing is that if you're looking for the offensive, especially to a big user base, in the end you're always going to lose, and it never helps you out. So I quite find that quite funny. But the thing is, what I also find interesting, and I hope that won't be a recurring thing, is that like Borderlands have performance issues, Monster Hunter Wilds have performance issues. So these are big AAA titles which go in a lot of money. But where you see and where I feel, and again it's a feeling, where they're being pushed to release when they're not quite finished yet, right? And in the end, and if you're looking at Monster Hunter Wilds, a new title update came from the 10 million sold. They basically have a retention of 2% before the title update, so it will probably now be up again. But their retention rate on Steam, for instance, on the Steam charts was really bad. At some point, you were looking at 7,000 players online, which for 10 million sold, that's quite difficult. It got review bombed, of course. I hope that that's not a trend. That the thing is that when you just release the game when it's finished, actually playable.
It
And tip:
it
don't go in the offensive to your user base. Never
No, and
works.
I understand that. I mean, they have put so many hours in it, and it's your darling, right? You have been building up this momentum, and the thing that you're anticipating or hoping is that it will be received as good as Borderlands 3, right? If it doesn't happen, I understand your frustration, but scream in a pillow, do something, go kickboxing or whatever. Don't do it towards your customers because you need their loyalty, right?
Yeah, yeah, and looking at that, and just to correct you a little bit, people didn't really like Borderlands 3 too much. They loved Borderlands 2, so this game is more Borderlands 2 ish. But yeah, he had some comments and statements about how to fix the performance issues, which really didn't really went well with the community and stuff like that. And I think that the community, if they have a point, you just need to say, "Okay, we understand, we're going to see what we can do, fix it in the next patch or whatever. Be patient. We're trying to do it, and we're trying to find the issues." But yeah, maybe it's a learning experience for for the publisher and
I
for
would say
the
so,
game
yeah.
developer this
But
time.
yeah, anyway, the This is just an announcement that I wanted to share. And this is also a hype that I've been seeing, or a trend. So this is Terra Mystica Special Edition. Terra Mystica has been a published game for quite some time now.
Quite old, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so what they are doing now is they revise it, ramp up the artwork, bring in some deluxe components, upgrade the whole package, bring in all the
Maybe republish it,
expansions. Yeah,
basically.
basically you do a republish, and I think the good side is that people that haven't been familiar with the game get new excitement, and perhaps it's a little bit more accessible to get the game also in a deluxe version, which it's a win-win for both publisher as well as the customer. On the other hand, for the people that have already bought the game for a long time and have been doing so for the last couple of years, it feels a bit, you know it feels like easy money in a way. Like, yeah, I know we have these classic games. Let's just republish them, revise them, and they've done it with Agricola, Puerto Rico, and other games as well. And it's a double-edged sword in a way. I don't know.
I'm not against it. The thing is that everybody has their own ability to buy or not to buy, and not go into that. For instance, something that jumps right into my mind is June Imperium and June Uprising, which I found June Uprising, which is just a plain money grab, right? Which
Yeah, fair.
was
Yeah.
I found that a little bit different, but it's a choice. In the end, you make a choice. Do you buy Uprising? Yes or no? I have June Imperium. I have the deluxe version. I'm
Yes.
never going to buy Uprising because, to be honest, I didn't really find it. It didn't really add too much for my taste. I played Uprising though, to my disdain, but not saying it's a bad game. I just found it a plain old money grab. But it's the choice you make as a consumer. And in some cases, you can also say, okay, if you're looking at older games that are maybe harder to get, and they're republishing them, you give people the chance to actually buy them and rebuy them. I think that one of the things that comes in mind there is that the old June board game that they
Mm.
republished. I don't really agree that it's a double-edged sword. I do find that in some cases you can see it as a money grab, but on the other side, it's always on the, are you going to pull your purse out for buying it? And everybody need to make a choice. But they are companies that need to make money, and they see this as
Yeah,
a
and
easier one.
I understand. I mean, especially in the last couple of years, it was quite difficult with the inflation and also the rates that were coming along, for imports and those kind of things. I understand that sometimes you have to go for, for these kind of routes, but I'm just hoping that it's not going to be a trend only pushing older games out that have been already published. And in some cases, and this is a negative trend to be honest, is they publish the game a year and they put out a version 2 with no new expansions or any stuff added to it, or a very small expansion just to say, hey, you got something new, to just get a Kickstarter running. And that is for me, or say a classic game which is not very classic, like, I don't know, it's not even 5 years old. That for me feels like, one, it's too easy. Secondly, in a way, and I understand it's a choice, right? But in a way, you're betraying your first customers that were loyal to you and paid the money to get the game, right?
Yeah.
You can disagree with me, but that's at
No.
least my feeling.
If a game is a year old and you're just bringing it out again and then with a small expansion or whatever, I think that in that case, I would say, what are you going to say to the people that buy the first one, right?
Exactly.
The thing is that if it's 10 years old, to be honest, I can go over that fact because it's 10-year old. We're going to renew it. We're going to change the rules a little bit and stuff like that to make it a little bit more balanced, because it's always harder because you want to have some balancing. But after a year, yeah, that's just a cheap money grab. My personal opinion, right? People can say no, that's not true, but my personal opinion, it feels like a quick money grab. And because why didn't you get that version right away, or give the ability to the users. The thing is that I wouldn't mind if you give the ability for the people that bought the first version to get the upgrade so that it's the same again, right?
It's just a marketing trick, right? To
Basically
because
screwing
what
over people, but not saying that
no,
you're screwing over.
but I understand that because there is time between once you get a Kickstarter live and then once it's the games are gonna be sent out, people get excited and they want the game, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine, but just bring it, say, okay, we're just, there's nothing new to it. Here you can buy the game. Fine.
Okay.
Anyway.
I've got one.
Yeah, I saw it.
So they
Yeah.
pulled off and they are now privately owned
Yeah.
for a staggering, I think it was 55 billion or something like that. So something
Yeah.
ridiculous. The thing is that it's business, right? And EA is actually quite they published a lot of good games. But I'm still wondering what will happen with that.
Yeah.
How will the future of EA? What will it be? There's a lot of different titles within EA, and I just wondering what is going to happen with that. How is that gonna change? I think it's one of the major power publishers as well. If you're looking at Activision Blizzard, for instance, I don't think they did really. I just didn't play a lot of EA-ish games lately.
They have been seeing a lot of problems lately with, money moving towards smaller games with in-app purchases and those
Mhm.
kind of things. But yeah, I don't know if this move is beneficial or not.
It's
I
bought by
mean,
investors that want to squeeze every cent out of it. That's basically what it
yeah,
is.
because if it was bought or by a company or people that were really invested in the game industry, I would be thinking it would be a good thing, right? Because being on the stock market isn't particular. You get money and you get funds, but you get a hell lot of expectations to manage as well. But if you get in return people that, it's now privately owned and you just get squeezed and purely focus on ROI, then I don't know what's better, and then I think it's, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
Will it produce better? Or will it help publish better games and stuff like that? And so because I think that Star Wars IP is on under there as well still. So
Fingers crossed that it.
we'll have to see what happens. But I found that interesting that it got sold for 55 billion. It's like,
Yeah, a crazy amount.
I'm not sure who does that math, but
Let's dive
somebody got rich. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah. Let's dive into the first decade. So the 20s. Do you would like to start or should I?
I'll start. I started this off. I will start this one off as I started the podcast episode anyway, because I wanted to say, why not Hollow Knight Silksong right away? Why not talk about that game right away? So 4th of September, I battled the first boss, which was the Steam store, which pissed me off to no end. But after, I think, 2 hours after release, I finally could bought it. I didn't play the first one. And a fun fact, actually, the new one of Hollow Knight, the original one, actually went up in sales again and also in recurring players. So if you look in the Steam store, you have Silksong in the top, but Hollow Knight somewhere in there as well, which basically the new one revived the old one as well. But I never played that. I knew what kind of game it was, so a Metroidvania kind of game, side scroller, 2D of a 2D. Beautiful crafted. You see, there's a lot of love in the game. Very nice story, very nicely done. I think that the world that they created was absolutely stellar, and how they did that. I'm not sure how you can do that better. That's really good. And I played it, but there is a but in this game. It's a very good game, but you really need to love this kind of game, right? This game is really challenging. In the beginning, it really takes a lot out of you to get good and beat some of the bosses. And in some cases, it's self-inflicted pain because some bosses are just meant to have you equip certain items to make the boss fights easier, but they don't really tell you that. So yeah, and even that you can equip the items, I basically figured out after the third boss. So basically, I made my own life hell by just not understanding that properly and how to get items. And it's a lot about trying to explore, trying to get to places and get some stuff. but it's just really difficult. Why does it make it difficult? You have the ability to heal if you have a certain amount of hits you do. Every time you hit, you generate silk. If you have enough silk, you can heal. But normal NPCs do one hit, but if you get the bosses, they do two hits. And in the beginning, you have 5 life. So basically, 3 strikes and you're out. And these bosses are not easy, right? They have a lot of attacks going silently, and it's learning the pattern. That's part of the game, but it's just not for everybody. That's the only thing I have with it. Like, and I think that I talked to you before. How do I review games? In the end, I always ask the question, would I recommend this game to anybody else? And the answer is yes, if I hated their guts. Because this game can really get under your skin and even got under my skin. That's part of the fun. I'm still going to play it out all the way, but that's how I feel about it. It's just really challenging. And everybody said just get good. And you have to get good, otherwise you can just not finish this game because it's just really hard. The bosses are really hard. And to be honest, I don't find that a bad thing per se. However, it feels more like the old school games we played, because if you go back in time, in the times where we talk about retro games as well, those games were always hard. I remember on the NES the old Star Wars games where you basically had a few lives and you get to a certain point and then you died. You had to start all the way, the whole game. You had to basically restart, and you had to
Yeah.
start from the beginning and start on the thing is that back then I had the patience. Now I'm over 40, not so much. Because some bosses right here, if you go to the bosses, you have to at least do them multiple times, 20 times, 30 times to just learn them. And really depends on how good did you play Hollow Knight before, is how much time you need to redo them and learning the patterns and learning the controls properly. But this game is ought to kill you quite quickly. So that's part of the game. But it is beautiful designed. The music is nice. The whole world is that you see there's a lot of love in that, and that is also the thing, is that it's for me the contradiction really hard, which makes me I don't want to pick it up all the time because sometimes it just gets you into your skin. But the other side of the game, it's a really nice and really beautiful game, and yeah, that's just the contradiction with myself. Also, what I love about this is this Team Cherry put this game out. So if you follow it a bit, they put up Hollow Knight, and Hollow Knight got a really nice following as being a really good game. Also challenging, same thing. But they said, "Oh, we're working on a new game," and it was really quiet. And they sometimes gave a little bit of information, and then they came in this August, to saying, "Okay, we're gonna release the new Hollow Knight 4th September." But what they also did is like everybody gets it at the same time. So
Yeah.
no review copies, no nothing.
No
Everybody gets it at the same
pre-releases,
time.
or yeah.
And I think what also happened, and that's a fun thing I didn't really book in the news, but it pissed a lot of people off because people didn't get a chance to review it. So people that really tend to have profits from reviewing stuff, games like that, couldn't do that. A lot of other games basically delayed their games based on that release, and basically blamed Silksong for, yeah, you released, you didn't get a chance to adapt, so now we're going to delay our. And it's like, how is that their fault? Like, you can still release your game, you just don't want to compete. So
Yeah. It's your own choice, you know?
it's your own choice. So, but that was something that really, also, you cannot blame Team Cherry for making an IP which is popular and which has such a following and basically crashed all the stores. You cannot blame them for
No, I think it's
creating that.
brilliant marketing. And if
They didn't
you
really have them, and that's the fun thing. They had their first game. The first game spoke everything, did everything for them. They created a beautiful game. They spent a lot of time on that,
Mhm.
and that basically created such a hype that they didn't need reviews for the second one. They didn't really need, and they didn't really care about the rules of publishing a game. They're like, we're publishing our game and we're doing it how like we want it. And the thing is that what I found bonkers as well is that actually some people were, I'm not going to pay this price until they raise the price, because Hollow Knight Silksong is only €20 or $20. So it's quite a cheap game as well. It's not expensive. It's not an AAA title. So it's not $60 or $80. No, it's 20. So people said, like, I want to pay more for it. I was like, maybe find a donate button or something. But
Yeah.
it was just, it sees what kind of hype it created, that people just basically go to that length. I'm not going to buy it if it's not more expensive.
Right. Interesting.
And that was really, really fun as well. So I'm going to stop with that one, but it's a lot in one go.
So, so I've noticed that for games that have been extremely popular lately are also games that are extremely difficult to play and master. Is there a new trend going on, or are people just more accepting or willing to have more attention and more time investment in a game? You think?
No, I think that there now is a generation coming in to fix and wants to experience what we experienced 20 years ago. The thing is
Mm.
that there has been a long time where games were quite easy to do. Easy to go to the zeros and the tens. There are a lot of games that just basically are easy to play out from A to Z. And I think that there's now a new generation that also want to have more difficult games. So I think it lays a little bit in there. People want to have a bit more challenge because they're just grinding through these games really easily. But maybe there is something else. There is a trend in that where they are playing more and more like these kind of games, right? And they want to have that. They want to have a hard game and then they want to finish it and they want to have see that as an achievement because it's actually an achievement if you get platinum at this, for instance. And maybe it's also a little bit because in the zeros we had the rise of these MMOs, which basically flocked a lot of players. But you see the MMOs now losing a little bit more of their player base and people returning towards just normal games and want to play these kind of games.
So my game is Expeditions. It's a board game. It's a sequel on Scythe. It's a Stonemaier game published in 2000. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it at first. I got a chance to play it during one of game weekends with some friends. So it's what the game is about is it's in the same setting as Scythe, but you're exploring a new world. There's stuff happening, and a meteorite has crashed, and there's some corruption going on in the something is bubbling. That's at least the setting. You still have mechs, cool looking artwork, which I really, really love from Scythe. But the main thing that is different, it's an card driven engine builder. So where Scythe was more on worker placement, you go to certain spots and you build out your engine, so to say. This is more you get certain cards which you can tuck under your player board, either on the side or underneath. And you have workers which you can use to activate certain powers. I find it extremely interesting. It has the same achievement system before, to make sure that the game ends. So I don't know, you have to score a certain amount of achievements, 4 or something like that, and then the game ends. It doesn't mean that you have won the game.
Yeah, it follows the line of Scythe.
Exactly. I love the multi-use cards because that gives so much decision space and agency to the player, which, okay, I got a card now. Should I tuck it underneath or should I tuck it on the side? I don't know. Like this. You have your mech going around, which you can block other players, which is cool because there is some interaction going on. Moving, you have also, no, sorry, before moving, you have to select a action, and I'm not going to dive into that action mechanism, but that on itself is already cool because it's something completely different from what I've seen so far in any other game. So I think Stonemaier took quite a few elements from Scythe, which was nice and interesting, mixed it up, added a few ingredients to it, and brought out a completely standalone new game, which I found is because I was expecting some sort of like Dune Uprising, right? Which it wasn't. Yeah, a big thumbs up. I mean, kudos. I mean, anyone who wants to try this should try it. There is only one big con to this game, which I have to say. So every Stonemaier game scales from 2 to 5 players. This game should be played with 2 or 3 players, not with 4 or 5. Because you can block each other, this game will stall for a long, long time if you're playing with 4 players. And I even found it with 3 players, like, okay, this is acceptable, but it was almost at the edge of, this is too long. It's outstays that its welcome. But with 4 or 5, definitely. I'm not going to play it if someone is bringing this to the table and saying, let's go for 5 players, I'm walking away.
Okay, well, that's a quite
I'm
bold
not
statement
kidding.
as well.
I'm not kidding.
I have to see that as well, but I'll believe you.
Yeah, cool. Moving on to the 10s.
Yeah, so I'm going here for the full launch. So this game was first public alpha was 2009, but the full launch was 2011. So I count this. And this one is because of my son. It's Minecraft, and to be honest, I'm not a Minecraft fan at all.
No.
But the thing is, what I do find is that it really helps him in his creativity, and he always looks YouTube and he looks that people are building all these kind of things, and it's like, oh, that looks kind of neat. It's not a game I would play because it's not like really my genre, but it did a lot for, I think, for kids a lot with great creativity, and but for also I've seen some, and that what I do find fun is that they built like Lord of the Rings stuff back and stuff, and the statues and whatever takes a whole lot of time, and why would you do that? But to be honest, I still like, respect, right? It's nice, right? It is, so it is a, that is a two-edged sword for me. So yeah, it's quite old. It still is getting updates and stuff like that, so they're still just continuing on that. And my son is like, can I get Minecraft? And I barged it out of my house, but I'm not sure how long I can hold on. They don't know that I actually already bought them for him, but I'm just barging it, like, because probably he says that he probably doesn't know how to play it, and then I have to do it, which
Yeah.
which is probably that new. And they also seem to have a Dragon Ball Z crossover coming, so that would be
Wow.
funny.
But I think
Not sure if that's true, but if that's true, then it's.
but I think Minecraft is I think it's easy to say that this is such an influential game, both from a building perspective as well as the community aspect to it. It's just digital Lego, to be honest.
And look at the graphics; it just looks. Sorry, it's not my thing.
No, not mine as well. And when it launched, I was like, okay, who the hell wants to play this? But now I have a better understanding why, and also seeing the structures and the things that you're mentioning as well. And things like Roblox popped out of it. If Minecraft wasn't there, those kind of games wouldn't be launched as well. I'm assuming.
As long as people have fun, right? That stuff. But I did have to mention it. It's like I'm basically because my kid has been just begging me for to play it. So that's
Cool.
That's it. So I just wanted to mention that one.
That's a quick mention. I think, but I think it's a fair mention to get this one. Mine is Root. It had to be brought into this podcast. The board game, released 2018 by Leader Games, an asymmetric warfare game. And if you look at it, it looks really cute, but
Thank
it
you.
isn't. It's just pure warfare. What it means is everyone plays their own faction. One plays the cats, one plays the rebels, and a few other factions. They have put out many, many, many expansions now to it, which adds so much more variety to it. I think if you want a board game that says asymmetry, this is the game.
Yeah, but for me, I have to say, if you're looking at Roots, that is the biggest plus and the biggest minus at the same time.
Yeah, fair enough.
My reasoning is quite
No,
simple.
no. I will stop you. I want to. This is my game. I want to talk about it for an hour long.
I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Okay. No. So sorry. Okay. I have to agree. Its biggest plus is its asymmetry. You play a completely different game from any other player. The way how you score points is completely different from playing the cats compared to the vagabond and compared to whatever other faction is out there. That makes it extremely difficult to teach and to learn because you have to get through the motions. You have to play this game over and over and over again. And I have the difficulty to teach. So I have not only to explain the game, but I also have to get an overview of what everyone is doing. And it's very easy to overlook some rules, which are, if you overlook them, then it can have a high influence on how the game will play out. But what I extremely love about this game, it has, because it has such a volume of different type of faction, it has a meta to the game, which I don't see a lot to board games in general. Because you play it a couple of times, and perhaps you get good at it. Sometimes there is a certain strategy out of it, but 9 times out of 10, there are two or three strategies that are the winning strategies. Here you have strategies per faction and also strategies per setup in a way. And so it's not just a walk in the park. You have to adapt. You have to know the game and understand how things are played out. It has high player interaction, which I'm an extreme fan of. It's not only bashing and beating, it's trading, it's negotiating. Depends on which faction you play, but yeah, pure love for this. I understand that it's not for everyone.
The thing what I found, and maybe my give a bit of explanation what I meant, is that this is a game meant to play with a group of people you regularly play with. This game is best played when everybody knows every different race there is and the way how they play, because if you don't know that, it's really difficult to understand what their victory conditions is and how to stop them, and in some cases you just don't know how to stop them because you don't even know what they're doing, and that is what makes it hard. So if you have a group of people that constantly play and you start understanding that,
Yeah.
I think that you get to the peak of this game if you do that, right? Because everybody understands that you don't have to explain. You know what the other needs to do. You know how to counter them and how they can counter you. That really creates. Then this game is peak. If you play it with a new group of people, I can understand because you basically have to explain it 4 times
Yes.
because everybody plays a different race and has different rules to the game. But just so it makes explaining this game really hard. So yeah, this game is awesome. I do agree, but you do have to need to have people that actually know how to play the game, or actually have the multiple play, or you have a fixed group to really get everything out of this, right? Really get to that bit. That's my personal opinion on that.
And
And
did
it's not
you
that I love it, but it's just that is, and it's hard to get in some circumstances.
did you know that my sons both have this game ranked as number one and play the game with me?
Yeah, but I think there is a little bit force and coercion in that. So I just understand that if they don't have a number one, they just don't.
No, 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 no. Normally, I would say so. I would say yes. I am perhaps making that a little bit biased, but the cuteness factor and the fact that they can play with their own stuff and mingle
I can
around,
understand that. Yeah, I
yeah,
can understand that. Yeah.
it's just Everdell, but then not not cutesy getting cherries, but cutesy as in I stab you in the back.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, probably perhaps I'm gonna have difficulties when they grow up if they like these kind of games.
They are gonna screw you over so hard, and you're like, shit. Maybe I should have thought this and done that well.
So that's my pick. Well, moving on to the zeros.
So I think this is one that is rated one of the best games I played ever, or at least have the fondest memories for. And that's actually World of Warcraft. I had to do it. World of Warcraft launched in 2004, and I got it at launch. And I've got so many fond memories of playing with certain people that I met in other games, and we played with. I started with Horde, and I played through that game and did the first raids. At some point, I stopped. I'm not sure why I stopped playing for that game. But a few years ago, we of course had Classic, and we also had Corona period, which really helped. And in the Corona period, I played Classic, so I replayed the game, and I actually finished all the raids, all down to Kel'Thuzad, which I got to relive that a lot. Made a lot of new, met a lot of new people, which was really fun, and it's just such a grand game. I love the lore. I love Warcraft. I read a lot of the books as well, and basically it all came together in that game. It's still going. I'm not playing it I played it last year. I played the last expansion. I have my on and off with WoW a little bit. That sometimes I play it again and I play for the story, and then I go back on there. But if you really want to do rating and you want a mythic rating, mythic rating, then you really need a lot of people, and there's a lot of time commitment in there, which I just cannot give with my life. So that's a part of the game that I don't miss, and then I stop again. But it was such a good game, right? When it came out, it was a new experience, and it wasn't that there weren't games like it, but doing it in the Warcraft setting, it has some things that it did really well. The story was really well, and that was, I think, a really good move, especially with Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2, which for me were personal favorites as well if you're looking at strategy games. And then playing this kind of game, going towards the whole world. And for me, it was the first time I experienced something like that. Like I said, there were other games like it. There were other MMOs, but not like this, and I haven't experienced it like this. So a lot of fun memories of all the dungeons, the raids there were, and I could, and that I did it again in classic, which actually I found a really good move from them as well. That they relived it, that they basically kept it as close as they could with some tweaks here and there. It was great, and it's still going strong, right? It's still going after so many years. So 2004, so it's 21 years old. So the 20th anniversary was last year, which I also played. 20 years and they're still going strong. So that's always good for a game. A lot of new things coming out in the future, playing housing and stuff. Finally, after 20 years, we have player housing. So it took them a while, but they're finally getting that into the game. Yeah, World of Warcraft. I think that if I look at the zeros, that was a game that popped in my head right away.
It's interesting that, I mean, especially after the launch of World of Warcraft, everyone wants to have their own piece, right? So many MMOs launched afterwards. But I think still, to this day, it's the most successful one. It's the most played still. There are a few competitors that are doing well, but not to the extent of what World of Warcraft is, you know?
But not in its peak. So if you're looking at it now, I think that you have Final Fantasy 14 is doing really well. So it leveled off, right? And you still have Guild Wars 2 going strong, and you have some Elder Scrolls. I think you also have Elder Ring, whatever. I've never played that one. So it leveled the playing field. But in the beginning, yeah, if you're looking at the peak, I think there is no other game that had reached that. I might be wrong, but I think that at that point it was really peak and it had a lot of concurrent players for those numbers back in the day. And I think that they never really go back to that point. You see a lift up in expansions, but yeah, I think that
Yeah, and I
it
think
won't
what
see that.
what most MMOs were suffering with is if you reach the highest level, or you notice where the
You reach the
games
end, yeah,
the
you reach
game
the end game, and then
game
they,
game and the game state of where the developers put all their effort in, then it was like now you're just grinding, and they added a few things to it in the expansion, but they could not keep up with the pace that the players were putting it in.
yeah, they went faster than they could handle. But you always have that, right? And the thing is also, is like an MMO is a time commitment. So if you don't really have it, you cannot really play three. Some people can, but, for instance, I can't. Right? You don't have the time commitment to get those games going. So what's yours?
It's a strange one, but I got a smile on my face because I picked it. It was Hitman Codename 47. And the reason why I specifically say Codename 47 because it was the first Hitman launched in 2000. And it lets you step into a role of an actual Hitman with assignments that you get on your digital laptop or on your laptop, and that you had to assassinate or get rid of a certain target in any means necessary. That's what I love about this game as well. It's like the creativity that you have as a player to, well, eliminate the target. All the tongue-in-cheek dark humor of the elimination of the targets itself. Lets you blend in, disguise yourself, use your barbed wire in a dark alley, and throw someone in a sewer, and all the crazy stuff. And it's so immersive. And I until that point, there was no game that was. Yeah, there were games that were trying to do it like a Hitman type of game, but it was mostly like, oh, you have a sniper, get on a roof, eliminate the target, and get away. This lets you sort of prepare. You have to walk around and scan sort of like the environment and see how the target was moving and all those kind of things, and then execute. Loved it. I really loved it, and still, I got the new ones as well. It got the same vibe, but with nicer graphics, not that polygon stuff from the 2 decades ago. Only gripe that I might add to this game is at times it feels a bit too scripted. At least the first game. So yes, there is creativity, but sometimes it feels you have to do certain things in order to succeed. But yeah, that was my one.
Okay, then we go to the 90s, right?
And we go to the 90s indeed.
So this game was the game I started on my first console. Really first console. I had consoles before that, but this one I really say, oh, this is my first console buy. And it's Super Mario 64. I had to do it. So Super Mario 64, first 3D Mario in 3D, which was, I think, really well executed. 120 stars, going into all these paintings and trying to get all these stars. It was just an amazing experience. Problem is that I still know most of the star locations. I never changed that. And which also later in the years, not even that long ago, I also start watching some of these speedrunners beat Mario in 64, which basically put me to shame, and they do it like with all these glitches in like a few seconds. Or they actually go towards the 120 stars within so many minutes or whatever. That it's just ridiculous how fast they can pull that off, and getting all these stars and these difficult jumps and stuff like that, which is really fun. I think a proper Mario game, to be honest, I don't think Nintendo really failed on any Super Mario game as far as I know.
Ooh,
Especially
this is a bold statement. This is something that I want to challenge. I don't have a Mario game now in the top of my head, but there should be a Super Mario game that isn't that.
I know. I
At
talked about
least
it before.
you brought some.
Okay, Mario 2 sucks. The rest is okay. Don't get me back to Mario 2. No, but I think that this game is actually I loved Mario 64. They had a lot of stuff, a lot of fun as well. The flying was done really well as well, especially if you're looking at Super Mario 3 and then going towards how they did it within in Nintendo 64, giving you so much freedom in a 3D world and stuff. If you get towards the first stage and you have to run up all the mountain and defeat the bomb, there was so much in there. There was so much coming back to, and you knew it's a different kind of game, but it had so much in there. I think that was it a revolution? I think it was a revolution on how we see games. If you go from a 2D to a 3D perspective, and it set the bar right away, right at the gate. Yeah, right. If I have to look at one of the games I'm fond of in that era, was getting my Nixes and Nintendo 64, putting this game in and try to get that stupid rabbit, which it took me a while to actually finally get. People that know to play the game know where the damn rabbit is, but I finally got it. So yeah, Mario 64.
Yeah, I think it's an extremely great classic. Did something that wasn't expected of the N64. Well, we had ideas that we could do it, but was just one of the key examples of how that console lifted up. Yeah, and I think the people that played that game and put it back in the console will relive great memories.
So, what's yours?
Mine is way darker than yours. Doom. So
Doom. I like Doom. I love Doom.
So you got Wolfenstein, of course, as the sort of like the first person shooter that started it off, killing off Nazis. They thought, okay, perhaps not that accessible for everyone. Let's just take it up a notch, put someone, a space marine on Mars, kill off devilish monsters and gory stuff with a chainsaw and add more stuff to it as extreme as possible. And it was just crazy. Where to start, I love the creativity they had with the monsters and the difficult abilities the monsters had, the gory feeling, and also the music and the whole setting that you stepped into, that world that you kind of did not want to be at, but you kind of do want to be at as.
But the thing is, when it came, there was also quite a different way of thinking back then than now. But back then, our parents really didn't know what we were playing, and that we were just killing monsters on Mars, and it was kind of gory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you do the same thing now, the world will react for some reason, or that it cannot be played by people. So it was also a different time because they just didn't understand that those kind of games were actually being played.
Yeah, exactly. And these are the type of games that if you're very young and you play these games, you feel a bit like naughty in a way. Once your mom comes in, you're like, no, I'm just doing a MS-DOS prompt. No, you're shooting monsters, killing off devils and whatnot, and do it in the most gory way as possible.
Yeah.
With bazookas and whatnot.
Talking about that game, it was also not an easy game, right? The first levels were easy, but if you came later on, they become a little bit more challenging. That's why we have God mode, but it was quite easy to turn on God mode. But those were challenging games without it.
And they were cheeky because once I mentioned shareware before, right? So I had a shareware version as well for Doom, and there was a level, and then at a certain moment you step into a dark hole, and then you get killed immediately, and you feel like there must be a way around it. There wasn't. I left my ass up.
They punished you somehow.
Yeah.
It was fun. Nice. Good pick.
80s.
For this one, I picked Pac-Man. Loved it. I think that it defined especially the arcade as well, right? Together with Donkey Kong. Pac-Man was one of the popular versions in general. It was fun. It was easy to do, hard to master, right? To getting to the end levels. I think it defined that a little bit and how you play games and how to make it accessible but also hard at some point, where you need to make quick decisions on not only when to take a turn but also when to pick up a power berry to eat the ghost to get everything done. So I think that it really defined in towards the arcade genre, but also later on we had some games with Pac-Man, and I think it's just iconic as well, iconic character in general for gaming. So I couldn't start this way we're doing that to end with Pac-Man.
Yeah, well, makes sense. Yeah, there are some arcade halls or gaming museums, even, or game spaces which have their arcade stuff. And of course, I've played Pac-Man a lot of times with a keyboard and on the PC. But playing Pac-Man on an arcade feels completely different with that, the joystick and those buttons.
It gets you the real feeling of how people did it back in the day. So yeah,
and you can hear that sound in your head.
I'm not sure if that's a good sound in that sense, but yeah.
No, but it's an iconic sound. It's a good, very, very iconic game.
Yeah.
So my pick is an F1 game. It's Pole Position. It was released in 1982 by Namco. It's basically the first arcade F1 game. It's not officially the first F1 game. It's launched somewhere in the late 70s, I believe. But this was the most accessible one in the arcade halls. And what you had to do is you had to qualify as you normally would do, so get the fastest round as possible, and then you have a certain position in the. But what what they did as well as to you had runs. So you get racing, but you had to meet certain time markers in order to stick in the game. They added a few stuff to it, like I don't know, oil on the racing track and a few other things that makes it a little bit more challenging. I think it was the first game that tried something like this, like a racing experience, and they, I think, did extremely well for its time. And was relaunched on quite a number of consoles. And the one that I played it on was the Atari. Yeah, I thought, since I am an F1 fan, I had to
Yeah,
bring this one in.
yeah, those old F1 games were, I think, always challenging because it was also the controls were really hard. But if you bring it up to now, if you're looking at how they do sim racing, it's like almost one on one, right? If the difference is that, well, when you're at home and the other is in the car, how close they got to realism if you go back there. But it started all the way there, which is a nice evolution also, and
Yeah,
it's really popular as well. But those kind of racing games were quite frustrating sometimes. Though.
yeah, definitely.
I can remember that.
So, bringing us to the last ranking moment, because now we're going to be at the difficult stage of saying which games should be deleted from our memories and which ones should stay or should be retried. So our normal segment was save, retry, and game over. And since we added 2 games to the mix, I added 2 new segments to it. So it's save, retry, achievement, as in 100% completion, install, and game over. So 100% completion is there is no fault to this game. This is just pure perfection. This is the highest of ranks. It's just basically you got the mark of Pixel and Meeple, right? The other one is install. Is you should at least try it once, see if it is your jam, yes or no, and then be a judge yourself. Should I start?
You need to do mine, right? I need to do yours.
Yeah.
I
So
hate you. You go first.
yes, I thought so. So I think install for World of Warcraft because you should at least try it once.
Have you ever tried it?
Yes, I tried it. I think I was more Guild Wars type of guy. Had to do with the business model as well, but it was also the art style that the Guild Wars, I found it a little bit more realistic, and World of Warcraft makes sense because it's in the Steam and in the lore of Warcraft, of course, but was a bit more cartoony. So I would say install. Then save for Pac-Man, game over for Minecraft to save kids for spending way too much time on their consoles, the screen time. 100% completion should not be losing track now. So
That's why I wrote it
Mario
down.
64 still have left. I'm writing it down because otherwise I'm.
Yeah, Silksong, Minecraft, World of Warcraft, Super Mario.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything bad about Silksong because then you're basically being deleted from the internet.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say 100% completion as well. I would say Mario 64 100% completion achievement. No, not retry.
So this is your segment. I hate it as much as you do.
Retry Silksong.
Retry Silksong. How
No,
can you retry
install.
Silksong?
Jeez.
It just came out. I can reinstall it.
No, yeah, okay.
You can retry it, and I do. I think they will. They should do another one. I'll let you think while I'll go.
Yeah, I will.
So I will go for expeditions, install, and it's a board game, so basically try it.
Yeah.
I want to try it. Roots 100%. Hitman retry.
Yeah.
Doom I would save.
Yeah.
Pole position I would delete.
Yeah. So game over.
Game over.
Okay.
Doom I would save, not because I'm particularly Doom. I think there was a Doom quite early and it was quite well received. Yeah, I'm just not in that genre anymore. I just don't care too much about those. But to be honest, I didn't really have other position. Can pull position. Otherwise, yeah. If you give me any F1 game, I would save that. But pull position, I wouldn't care too much about. if it dies.
I think I'm missing one. Pac-Man, Mario 64, Silksong, World of Warcraft, and
Minecraft.
Minecraft.
So you have good titles there. If you make a mistake, you're basically be deleted
Yeah,
off the
I'm gonna
internet. So
be
that's
I'm gonna be deleted from the internet.
nice knowing you.
Which, yeah, I would stick with 100% completion for Mario 64. I think it's fair. I would say save for Silksong. I would say retry World of Warcraft.
That's a good one. A lot of people would be speculating when is World of Warcraft 2? When are they gonna? Are they ever gonna do World of Warcraft 2? Right? We just redo it, better graphics, better engine, stuff like that. Maybe they are working on it, but we don't know.
And then install Minecraft and game over for Pac-Man. I mean, it's been a long time. We have all seen Pac-Man now.
I think you basically have to install it, otherwise your sons will hate you.
Cool. That brings us to the end of the episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please let us know what you thought about this setup and this different type of implementation of this podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a star rating in Spotify or Apple iTunes. Doesn't really matter. But most importantly, create some gaming memories. Bye bye.
Bye.